Good evening. Welcome to the 5-8, where we discuss each of the week's 5 most fucked up topics for 8 minutes. 5 topics, 8 minutes, 2 hosts, a guest, some singing, a lot of curse words, and as many cocktails as we deem necessary. LB, how are you?
I'm here.
Are you having a real drink?
No, it's my water.
Oh, okay.
My water. No, all I do is walk around and out of nowhere going, oh God. It just comes out of me. So that's how I'm doing. I'm just literally every, I don't know, maybe hour or 2 hours. I had a new dentist. I went into the new dentist and she's like, they're checking me and I'm walking back. I'm just not, wherever I'm at, I'm not there 100%. There's 10% of me at least just going, oh my God. And so I don't even remember what happened that day. I sat down in the dentist chair and I was like, oh God. And the poor dental hygienist she's like, oh no. She was like young and she's like, are you scared? Do you need anything? And I was like, oh yeah, you're here. I'm like, no, it's okay. It has nothing to do with you. I'm just,
Oh God.
yeah.
You're just, oh God, is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know what else there is to say, really. It's just, last or 2 nights ago, right? Oh, last night was the blood moon, the full moon with the lunar eclipse.
Yes.
Which is supposed to have all of this energetic properties. Tomorrow is the Ides of March, which I don't know, seems relevant in American Caesar time. I hope, I don't want the LARPing to be that immersive. So, let's hope it just comes and goes without any disturbance. But it's everything is so weird now. It's just like, here we are. And our cat got out last night. Yes. Our cat got out and one of the kittens and didn't come back until this morning, but did come back. So when I opened the door this morning, she came in, just and as if nothing was wrong, just like strutting, like
I wonder if she caught anything, like something. She wanted to be out in that blood moon.
I hope she didn't catch like bird flu is really what I'm hoping. That's the thing. But maybe she's like symbolic of the country, like get away from us for a little while.
And maybe, you got a cat, very smart cat on your hands. I have met this cat. She is quite clever and she loves her life. She loves her family that adopted her. So maybe she just needs to get out and take a stroll every once in a while.
I don't know. I didn't like it. Although it did give me an excuse to walk outside under the full moon at 1 o'clock in the morning for an hour.
So. I know. I was like in bed and I was, oh God, I woke up from a dead sleep. God, oh God. And went to the blue sky and was like, fuck this guy. I'm so upset with Chuck Schumer. He's got to go.
Well, let's get to it then. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, and some nice sweet follower was like, go outside and look at the moon. It'll be okay. I was like, okay. So I did what my Twitter follower or Blue Sky follower told me to do and went out and I did feel better. So, God.
I looked at my steps today. I was like, oh, I have 10,000 steps. That's cool. And then I remembered like 3,000 of them were from last night. So it's like cheating a little bit. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So that's how we are, everybody. A lot happened this past week. We'll talk about some stuff. There's more to share towards the end and announcements and all of that. But let us get going because I want to get to our guest. We have a great guest tonight. One of our favorites. Hard to get. So thrilled that she's here. All right. What is our... I got to put the stupid...
The topic, the first topic, the number one topic is... called The Betrayal, which is either some weird new Netflix series or, something that is making me regret ever voting for either of the senators here in the state of New York.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have thoughts about this because you woke up angry and furious and angrier than I've seen you in a while. So what's going on in your mind with regards to Mr. Chuck Schumer?
Well, I mean, to be clear, I have been angry. Now I remember why I was angry at the dentist. It's because that was the day that Trump said that Donald Sr., that he was going to level another 25% on Canada, which he backed off from for the tariffs. I exploded with anger at that. I just whatever I was saying, whatever the stages of grief are, I landed in anger on full 20 rage. My poor family and the environment. I'm just like, I'm so sorry. The menopause meeting this moment is so spicy, and my spicy neurodiversity, the whole thing. So anyway, so I'm pretty mad about it. About this voting, the 10 Democrats, I believe, senators, and 2 of them from New York, voting to
allow it to come to a vote. Yeah.
Allow it to come to a vote for this continuing resolution of the Republican, with the excuse, the reasoning being, if we let him, if he shuts down the government, he's never going to open it back up. Yes. He's already destroying it.
Yeah.
We need you to fight and get out of the way. He's driving the car off of the cliff so everybody can see what this is, this moment. There's a lot of people seeing the moment, getting it, finally. People who got it, who are like, oh, God, like me, just God. And then people who, we'll talk about that later too, who were like, wait a minute, what? What's this? What's this? Who had the luxury of being tuned out and are tuning in. And the whole world needs to see, and every American needs to see, a Republican president, a Republican-led Senate, a Republican-led Congress, the whole legislature, a Republican Supreme Court drive this car off the cliff. This is what they are offering. They're offering destruction because they're destroying it anyway. So if you get in the car and even say, well, let me drive. You seem a little drunk. I'll go ahead and drive for you. If Dems get in that car, then both parties are making this choice.
Yeah.
It's going to happen anyway. The other thing about it is when you've got an abuser, when these abusers are in there, just abusing the United States, abusing people, that's what they are. That's what Trump and JD and all those fuckers are. They're the fucking abusers. They're going to come and beat you. They're going to beat us in our homes. They're going to keep hitting us. They're going to take away our voice. They're going to take away our vision. They're going to take away our ability to hear anything. They're going to cut our legs out from underneath us, and they're going to kick us, and they're going to beat us until we're just this, barely convulsing on the floor, unable to get up and say and do anything, right? Death by 1,000 chainsaws. This is what's coming for us.
Metaphorically,
as opposed to, we still have our voice, we still have our legs, we still can get up, don't take my ability to stand up, speak out, and fight back away. I have that now. We have that now. We're not going to have that later. This is not when we agree in advance. So the 2 New York senators, Schumer and Gillibrand, have to go. I'll take AOC and find someone else. We'll bring them out of the Congress and we'll stick them right there into the Senate. And they'll be there for 6 years. We need them in the Senate. We'll find other Congress people in their very blue districts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who else can we get? Who else? Who in New York?
There's plenty of people in New York, but I think,
Fine.
I
get
don't
rid
know.
of these people.
I mean, just to push back a little bit.
Rotten in our leadership. Something's rotten. It's rotten. When they didn't all get around, I want to hear you. When they didn't all get around Al Green, I said to you, something's wrong here. I want to get to that in a second. Okay, so you want to push back a little bit.
I want to push back a little bit. I mean, maybe you haven't considered that now that Schumer allowed this vote to happen, Trump will just stop destroying everything. I mean, huh? Have you ever thought about that?
No.
Yeah, I think we're safe now. Pretty sure we're safe.
This is 6D chess because it was 4D chess, but then Schumer is going to add 2 more dimensions, so it's 6D chess between those 2 fuckers.
It's not, I think the problem is with the politicians right now is that there's a lot of politicians who are doing a very good job, living up to the moment and meeting the moment. AOC certainly, Max Frost and Jasmine and, some of the senators too. Not ours, unfortunately, but the top Democratic leadership is so entrenched and so ossified and so, like they say in war, fighting the last war. They're generals fighting the last war. The time is gone and we need to move on. And what gives me hope about it is that there are people who do seem to realize it. Fetterman was on, Blue Sky talking about why he voted the way he did. Well, we have to have the CR because, it's a terrible bill, but we have to sign it because blah, blah, blah. And AOC retweeted it and said, oh, so if they just slap on a full abortion ban, you'd vote for it? Like there's no logic. There's no end. Yeah. They're just going to keep coming because appeasement doesn't work. I was thinking about it and, I went back and read my book, or I didn't read the whole thing. I just kind of went through it, the Dirty Rubles book, to see what I got right and what I got wrong from that time. And it's like the thing that I got the most wrong is that I really believed that the Dems and the Republicans would not want Russia to take us over.
Yeah.
I really thought that once people realized what was happening, they would stop it and use the very considerable power that they had to stop it. And they had a lot of opportunity to do so, and none of them did. The Republicans certainly didn't. Useless, complicit, awful. And now the Dems, I don't know. The Dems are too. I don't know if it's too split. I don't know what the story is.
Well, let's talk about it for just a second. I don't want to spend. I'm not trying to weave unknowns into knowns. I just want to say this. I guess think a little deeper about it. So there are very brilliant activists and organizers in the US. Now, there's some on the conservative side. I mean, just real quick with this. There's some on the conservative side. The anti-abortionists, those folks knew how to keep pushing, stick to it, and get their agenda done. Of course, I don't agree with any of it. It's awful, awful, awful. But that's probably all there is over there. All the rest of the great activists are Democrats.
Yep.
Or at least available to party leadership to help them figure out how to take actions and lead grassroots movements in such a way that we can actually throw a lot of sand in the gears, but at the very least can capture the infosphere, the media's attention around a central pressing issue that is the clock is ticking on it. And for right now, that's Medicaid.
Yeah.
They're going to get rid of it. This is what's in this thing. We have to kill this bill before it kills us. We have to.
Yeah.
And so while Trump is doing his, whatever that was, I don't know, barking his garbage in front of all of them, it doesn't take a lot to figure out how to have an action in that moment to bring the entire nation's attention around a critical issue. So Al Green does it. He does it. He stands up and he says, you do not have a mandate to get rid of Medicaid. And they remove him. Where was the next person standing up right behind him going, you do not have a mandate? Where was the movement? Any organizer, any activist would have been able to craft that very simple thing that would have infuriated Donald, stopped this garbage of lies and horribleness that was happening, and brought attention and focus on the issue that they're all saying we need. Bernie, God bless him, is out there holding rallies, doing it. He's doing it. Why are they by themselves?
Yeah, I mean,
why are they by themselves? Something doesn't make sense. It's not hard to actually do when you have the power and the platforms and the people and the expertise to lead the the whole party and help lead the nation in the direction in this critical hour that everybody agrees is critical. Everybody knows what something isn't right. Something isn't right. And then they vote to censor him.
Yeah,
Al Green. They censored him after that. Something isn't, I'm telling you, something's wrong. And then when you said today to me earlier in our production call that Schumer and Gillibrand both got a lot of money from crypto or something, I'm sorry. Bells started going off. I did not know that.
Yeah.
What is that? What's the crypto thing for Schumer?
I don't know. Capital Hunters had a thread about it on Blue Sky. Just money coming in from crypto people, like that segment. And Gillibrand had a bill with one of the Republicans, I can't remember who, just about crypto, and they were against Brown's bill to regulate it. So this is all bad. Yeah, it's all bad. What was going on is Jeffries has a book to sell. He has a book to sell. He doesn't want to ruin book sales.
Well, how came Jeffries? Yes, he didn't want to ruin his book sales and blah, 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 blah. Didn't help with Al Green, didn't organize anything. They did not have their act together for a scheduled thing, which is just unconscionable at this moment, right? Something's wrong there. Yet, when Nancy Pelosi, because she can go from a mile away and know where the winds are blowing, she knew that this was political suicide, what Schumer's doing. And thank God, get rid of him. Get rid of him. But, Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi put out a statement today, and Hakeem Jeffries jumped on it. And hopefully, because they know this is not only wildly unpopular, it's political suicide. It is.
Well, we'll see. I
hope so. All right. Sorry, I went a little long there. I'm so angry about that.
I know.
Oh, my God. I want them gone. They have to be fired. How dare they?
Yeah.
How dare they get in the car and offer to drive?
I don't know. Something went down at Studio 54 many decades ago. Okay.
Good
Next
God.
topic.
Next topic.
Okay. We're talking about, the topic is called the North, and we're talking about Canada, which is the whole situation is very strange. And there's a lot of data points, I think, that I want to just kind of point out and just throw out there and put together. And we talked about this a little bit before. The tariff thing is stupid. Tariffs are dumb. I'm not an economist, but my boss is majored in economics and knows about this. He said Riccardi disproved tariffs in like the 1820s or something. Like, we've known about this for like 200 fucking years that this doesn't work. The Hawley-Smoot tariff, as you pointed out a couple weeks ago, if it didn't cause the Great Depression, it absolutely contributed to it, made it a lot worse and longer and all that stuff. So we know tariffs are bad. Everyone knows this, except for, Krasnov in the White House there, who I think
maybe he does
fell in love with the word. You know how he does that sometimes? The wall. He falls in love with the word, and then he doesn't want to seem dumb, so he has to keep doing it. Well, Canada's going to raise the tariff. Well, we'll raise it more. It's like he's playing poker and doesn't realize he has a pair of twos, because he's a fucking idiot. So it doesn't make sense on that level to have a trade war with our neighbor. All of the Wall Street people, by the way, who are supposed to be good at forecasting, which is laughable. We all knew that Trump was going to tank the economy. Why didn't they know? They're all like, the word that Rampell used in WAPO was befuddled. They're befuddled that Trump is going to crash the economy. You're befuddled. You're literally, your job is to forecast what's going to happen to the economy, and you didn't know this was going to happen. Come on, ridiculous. Now, so that's two data points, but all of this animosity that Trump has basically conjured up out of the blue with Canada, Trudeau was taking it very seriously when Trump talked about the 51st state and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was he was doing that for political reasons because the election was coming up or what, but he seemed to, from what I saw, take it seriously as legitimate threat. Okay.
Yeah, he's been in the room with him
and
many times.
I think, we were talking about it. So Otto von Bismarck had this to say, about America. He said, quote, "The Americans are truly a lucky people. They're bordered to the north and south by weak neighbors and to the east and west by fish." That's what Bismarck said, who knew a thing or two, right? So now we've antagonized our best friend on the whole continent for no reason that any rational person can even spin at this point, right? It's just stupid. So maybe he is trying to do the 51st state thing. Maybe that is. We were talking in the production meeting about Risk, the game Risk, right? And if this were a Risk board and that was the game, okay, what would you do if you're the United States and you want to take stuff? You'd put a lot of troops at the southern border, which we've done, and then you would invade Canada. If that was Risk, that's what you would do if you're playing Risk. I'm not saying we're playing Risk. I don't know what Trump's doing. For all I know, he ate a bad meal in Toronto. They didn't well done his steak enough for him or something. He's still mad about Trump Tower, Vancouver. I don't know, but we do have to look at it like it's a serious thing. And I just want to throw this out here. And I know the Canadians listening to the show, shout out, know this already. But, the last time that we fucked with Canada, they burned the fucking White House down. So I'm just throwing that out there. That is a historical thing that actually happened. So maybe we don't want to antagonize Canada.Maybe we want to fix this before.
He's never going to fix it because it makes him.
I didn't say Trump fix it. I
and
said
also he's just only going to make it worse. But he's the one that broke it, and so he's just going to make it. We didn't do it.
Yeah.
No one where I live. Certainly, this is of people in my area. This is very, 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 very bad for us. And this is if you take the district, because it's a great big rural area, huge area, this is a red area, even though we're within New York State. So they're pissed. Mm-hmm. We need Canada. We need them, we just do here. We're on the border. That's our border. Those are our friends. They come and spend money here and keep us our economy, local economy going. And let me tell you something about Canadians. Okay, good luck invading. We're here where the Can-Am games are all year round. All winter, it's hockey. And in the summer, it's rugby. And they walk away with their teeth. Those are some tough people, and they are nice people, and we have pissed them off, and they're not going to forget that. You don't take advantage of kindness, and they know, and they're saying, we don't need you the way you need us.
Yep.
And we know it. They aspired to come to America and be in America and work in America. They love it. They love the entertainment industry. They love the opportunities. We have a lot of Canadians that come, and there are great neighbors. And so when you're in Canada and they look around, they're like, oh, let's go down there. Let's go down there. That's basically it. While we draw on their resources. So you're going to insult them. Donald's going to insult them, fuck up the draw on the resource. They're like, fuck you. Then we don't need anything. We don't need to we don't need to be on SNL. Fuck off.
A lot of the states that border Canada are blue states too. I mean, that's also
so it's very, very, very upsetting. And back to Chuck Schumer. Schumer. Then I'll come back to this. There is something that happened in World War II. If we're pulling back to history, there were the honorary Aryans, literally a title given from Hitler and his regime to those German business owners that kissed the ring, regardless of that could be Jewish, could be anything, right? But weren't considered Aryan. So they became named honorary Aryans and they got to keep their businesses. Look it up. So I'm going to call Schumer an honorary Trumparian. And Gillibrand, honorary Trumparians. That's what they are. They want the favors. They want something. They certainly don't give a damn about their constituents who are telling them, do not do this. We are saying, do not do this. So let's brand him with that and keep it rolling against that guy. Back to the Canadians, back to that whole thing. You know, we joke about the Krasnov now, kind of. We do mean it. He was outed, Donald, yet again, as being a Soviet-era recruit, right? By a former KGB officer. Yet another one saying, oh, yeah, he's ours since the Soviet era. I just remember him in the White House. I never see him so happy. Can't get that image out of my head. My mom remembers it too. Just joyfully laughing with Kislyak, a literal handler, and Lavrov. Well, you know, I can never get past the fact that what's his face was sitting out there like a lump in the chair. Now I can't even remember his
Kissinger.
So he's happy with the Soviets. That's it. It's the older guys. It's the guys from the guys that wanted all that glory back. It's his joy. Those are his running buddies. Those are his people, not us. Those guys.
Yep.
So when you think about that Soviet era and you think about this man's obsession with walls, maybe his obsession is not about keeping people out. It's about keeping us in. And we should start thinking that way and make sure we're pushing for freedom of movement as much as we possibly can. Make sure we're communicating with our allies as individuals to say, you know, friends, anybody get over there? Look, we don't want this. We're very much in distress over here. This is not, most of us didn't vote for this. We don't even know what the hell happened with all of that. Clearly, we have a large faction of the United States, of our fellow citizens, who are just morons and sadists and horrible, 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 horrible people. And then we have a lot of just checked out, didn't vote, don't care.
Or were lied to by where they get their news.
Didn't know what they were doing. Yeah. Every other of these free democratic nations, they all have gone through this sort of, you know, the propaganda and the attempt to radicalize and all of that. So it happens here too. But we're not for this. We don't want to not be allies with Europe. Please let us run away and hide in your nation if we need to. Okay.
Well said. Now, you said before, what did you call Schumer?
Trumparian.
That sounds
honorary.
That sounds like something from some kind of musical to me.
Oh.
That's what it sounds like.
He blows up cars, he dreams of Mars, he loves the letter X. He's fathered 13 children, but he still hasn't had sex. The holy water bubbled when he met the Pontifex. I think he is an asset of the Kremlin. He's got a thing for couches, and the eyeliner is real. He wants to be a Caesar, but he's owned by Peter Thiel. He shouts at Jewish leaders with a reminiscent zeal. I think he is an asset of the Kremlin. And as for our commander-in-chief, he's nothing but a thief. How do we solve a problem like our Nazis? How do we make our Nazis leave us be? How do we stop the country going Nazi? How to be rid of Donny Long JD? The Dems have shoved their heads up their own asses. They sat and watched as Nazis staged a coup. So how do we make Krasnov permanently fuck off? What do the history books tell us to do? There's only one way to get rid of Nazis. Read up about the end of World War II.
Bravo, bravo, LB. Excellent singing. Excellent animation by Chunk, as always.
Excellent animation. I hadn't seen that yet. I always like it to be a little surprise.
A little surprise. Yeah. I watched the beginning of The Sound of Music last week because I'm like, this is all I can handle. Okay. We've kept our guest waiting long enough. She's a writer and lecturer on Russian influence and information warfare. She was an advisor to the president of Georgia and the former prime minister of Moldova. And she has an excellent Substack called Great Power. Molly McKew.
Molly McKew. Back. Yay. Hi, Molly. So
the first question that we want to know, and the most important question is, the world is on fire and all this kind of stuff. So how are you? Uh-oh.
Oh, can't hear you. Nope. Oh, no. Our brilliant friend. Okay. Nope. One moment. Did the thing come unplugged? Greg, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
I can hear you.
She'll get online. Try logging off and logging on again.
All right. Log off and log on, Molly.
Yeah.
Darn it. Right. Mess with
She's going to come back. I blame them. Anytime something like this happens, she was on. We were talking before the show started. So I blame the Russians.
I blame the Russians. Somebody. I know we're crazy to think man. All right. We'll try to get her back. And she was so patient. We went over.
I know.
Damn.
Yeah. So that was fun. I liked that video. That was good. I liked the song. It was good.
It was good.
You were in Sound of Music. Is that?
Oh, please. We're not going to have this conversation.
All right. Let's see.
There we go.
Is it working now?
Yeah,
it's working now.
Right.
Sorry, it's my 12,000-year-old technology, which always does this in live things, where it's just like, oh, you wanted to recorrect? No, that does not work.
Yeah. Anyway, it timed well because I said, "How are you?" and then it went, it just faded away.
Yeah, it does that. We're all great, is how I think everything is. Look, it's been kind of a month of badness, and I think no matter which needle you're looking at, it doesn't look really great on the dashboard right now. And obviously the stuff that I pay more attention to is about Russia, about Ukraine, which looks even worse than I think a lot of the stuff everybody else is paying attention to all day long. So these are not the awesomest of times, I think. It's the bottom line.
Yeah. We were talking before. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
Oh no, I was going to say you were there. So you were in Ukraine, right? Is that where you? Yeah,
I was. Yeah, I just got back.
Tell us what's going on there. And I know it changes like constantly, but what's the sort of the mood in the air? What's the which way is the wind blowing? Are people still hopeful? What's going on there now?
I mean, the thing about Ukrainians is they're amazing, and they have basically been fighting this war by themselves for 3 years anyway. And yes, it certainly helps to have weapons showing up when you need them and a feeling of general support from people that you view as allies. But, even during the Biden administration, this was not a smooth, simple process that everything they needed showed up when it could have saved more lives. For a whole variety of reasons, some administration policy, some congressional stupid battles. I mean, there was a lot going on. But so I think in terms of, what is like the military mindset right now? What is the popular mindset right now? It is absolutely hardened resilience, like whatever, we will do what we have to do because nobody else is going to save our country but us. And there's more nuance to that, obviously, at the leadership levels. But I don't worry about the Ukrainians. I think they're going to be okay. I mean, not to say we shouldn't keep arming them.
Right.
I mean, they're going to be okay in their heads. Like, it would be nice if we helped them win this stupid war in a more efficient way. So I think the Ukrainians are actually in an okay place, but that doesn't mean that they're not sad, pissed, angry. And like, I think the thing, just listening to you two talk in the little news bits, I think the thing Americans are really missing is in the first Trump administration, we could all get away with the, oh, but I didn't vote for him shit. And like that doesn't work now because we reelected him as a nation by a pretty significant margin. And no, not the margin they claim, but still. And so when we're all doing our, oh, but we didn't know dance, everybody else is like, fuck you, this is exactly what he told you he was going to do. Okay, maybe not the invade Greenland plan, but like the rest of it is like all written there on the paper. And so I think what the Canadians see, what our European allies see, what the Ukrainians see, what everybody else sees is like, you guys work your shit out. We're really tired of ending up in the middle of it. But America is an unreliable ally and everybody has to treat you in a vaguely hostile manner now. And like, not hostile like they're going to invade us. Nobody has time for that shit. We just don't have time for you to be unreliable in our math. Like, you go do what you're doing and we'll figure out a different way to do these things. And I know for some Americans, this is like, let's throw a parade. That's what we've wanted all this time. But that has never worked for us as a nation. And it will be so fucking disastrous for us economically, socially, in terms of our defensive strategies in the world. Pretty much every possible piece of math on that. But, I guess we want to learn it that way instead of the smart way that involves reading and keeping allies. So, it's going to be awesome. Awesome times for all of us.
Oh, my God. All right. Is there a silver lining of Europe coming together? Because I know there's no America aside, but I do care about Ukraine. So just in focusing on Ukraine, it seems that Europe is coming together around stepping up for Ukraine in a way that will protect. They get it. Oh my God, we don't want this coming for us next. So, if the big bad Papa Bear, U.S. is out, maybe we have to like figure out how to deliver.
I think some positives or things you could at least put in the it's not super shit column. Europe finally not just saying words about, yes, we need more defense, which, like, let's be clear, since at least 2014, all of us should have been more focused on this idea of what it actually takes to fight a war in the modern era. But, okay, putting that aside, like, should have done this a decade ago, Europe actually mobilizing on defense in terms of especially overcoming debt limits, finding financing options for countries. Europe has all sorts of strange spending rules that the idea of passing balanced budgets is not something we hear in the Americas too, but in Europe it's like built into their EU regulations that there's only a certain amount of debt they can take on, and they're sort of removing those for the sake of being able to rebuild defensive things quickly. And like, while there's still outliers in Europe, certainly Hungary is not going to be fun anytime soon. There's others that are on that list too, but the general sense since the end of January of our European allies finally wholeheartedly in a more unified fashion saying Ukraine is Europe, and not Ukraine is going to be Europe, it will someday be Europe, we aspire for Ukraine to be Europe, but actually saying with like a full embrace, Ukraine is Europe, we have to defend Europe, we understand this is our job now, and we will figure out a way to do it, and all the things they should have been doing before in terms of how are we using the frozen Russian assets, et cetera, like all of these things should have been done faster, but regardless, that center of mobilization and more of a center of Europe being a growing great power center in the world is important. Absolutely. The problem is that it's also super negative for us, the United States, not because like Europe being a peer power to us would be great if we were still allies, but if we're doing this thing where we're being antagonistic, it's not great for us, the United States of America, period, end of story. And it's been a long-term goal of the Kremlin to permanently
remove us from there.
Well, just break the transatlantic alliance. Like, they really want us not involved in the European situation. And so that, and like now we're all accelerating this process, right? We're like cheering it. Like, yay, Europe, you're on your own. Like, it's watching everybody fall into these roles is really kind of painful to look at. But so I think that, I mean, Europe doing things on defense, Europe fully embracing Ukraine, is positive. Germany, and like some of the moments of momentum actually having positive political impacts on the continent, such as Germany probably will have a coalition that is more focused on this stuff than the last one. There are other sort of internal dynamics that are happening with Britain and other places where I think us being weird and the moment needing to be risen to will probably really change the face of European politics, mostly in a good way. There will also be the other side of that will be some of these weird far-right parties gaining status in other places, but we'll see how it plays out. But I mean, there are some positive things happening, but I just think the general message from all the places we don't have time to pay attention to, Africa, most of Southeast Asia, the message is like, whatever, America, like, we're not waiting around for you to sort your stuff out. Like, we are all going to do things that need to be done. And you do you, and don't believe in vaccines, and don't believe that climate change is a thing that the rest of the world has agreed is happening. Like, all of these things that we have been an outlier on for a long time are now really, like, people believe the data points now. And we have a lot of proving ourselves to people if we want to come back in. And that's not going to be simple. Especially if we've, canceled 1/3 of global aid, which isn't really a good way to
Oh my God.
So,
we haven't even talked about USA. Okay. So you do have a mic thing going on again.
Sorry.
Just to let you know. That's okay. I was just thinking when you said the climate change is really, it's like, maybe the fishes hate us too, Greg, because I mean,
right.
because I think the EPA, the guy heading whoever that monstrosity is at charge of the EPA now, today rolled back clean air and water.
Yes, Zeldin.
Yeah.
Zeldin. The number of lawn signs in New York that said Zeldin in red with a white that were just wasted on the side of the road. I could balance the budget. Probably
a really overlooked originator of QAnon, Lee Zeldin. Like, this guy was right in the middle of like all of the early conspiracy amplification. But hey, that's fine. Let's let him run important things. Great choice.
Yeah, it's good. Wait, try like futzing with your plug and plug it into the thingy more.
In and out. Plugging in and out.
I want to ask about nuclear weapons because it seems like what's going to happen. The best case scenario, it seems to me, is that Europe's going to get its shit together in a way that maybe wouldn't have been possible without Vance going there and being an asshole idiot at Munich. But it looks like Macron is saying the right things. The new guy in Germany seems like he's way more on it than the old guy was. And it feels like France and Germany especially have to really unite now with Poland and the other places and coming together. But with the nuclear stuff, Putin's always going to kind of wave that around and saber rattle. Do you see it being a situation now where other countries like, I don't know, Poland or Sweden or whoever are also going to be like, we need nukes now too? Or is that not
basically, it's like the wildest time of even just putting the nukes aside for a sec, which is always sort of a special column. I mean, states in Europe are removing themselves from arms control treaties, cluster munitions treaties, anti-personnel mine and landmine treaties, not because anybody's a monster and wants to go leave landmines for kids to step on all over the world, but you need cluster munitions and anti-personnel mines to fight fucking Russian land forces, which is why we, the United States, never joined any of those conventions, because we stockpile the shit so we could kill Russians if they came across the border in Europe. And now all these countries that have signed this thing are like, we're just going to cross our name right off this list and go buy some cluster munitions because you need them. And this is just going to happen now because we, the United States, have decided that security guarantees are bullshit. And a piece of that is definitely going to be this math on nuclear proliferation. The Poles have openly stated, why wouldn't we try to get nukes if this is the world we're living in now? The Europeans are trying to come up with some sort of common, the French have some nuclear weapons. Let's just eyebrow that, but there's a few. And the Brits have more, but still not equivalent arsenal to US, China, and Russia nuclear weapons. But there's like an idea of like, how do we like make this into a new nuclear umbrella situation if we need to? And great, if they want to do that, that's fantastic. But there's so many, I mean, again, I do not want everybody to feel they must have nuclear weapons, but we, the United States, are creating this situation where everybody has decided they need them individually.
Oh my God, you're just going to pick China. Europe is just going to pick China.
It's the weird dynamic that I mean, look, if we, the United States, fully do this, actually, we're on Russia's side, like, this is our new thing now, and that, I mean, the chances of there being a weird US, Russia, China, EU split, like that, it's a real thing that Steve Bannon himself has written about many times.
Oh my God!
Oh wow, we should listen to Gary Newsom's podcast and find out about it.
Oh
please do not joke about these morons who are like, actually, these guys seem really smart. Let's like put them on our podcast and talk about their great ideas. Like,
you said Gary Newsom. You mean
I did.
Gavin?
You know why? Because my
doesn't
brain
matter what his name is.
I'm forgetting about Kimberly Guilfoyle's ex-husband in my brain right now.
Oh my God. Okay.
I never liked him.
Why do we elect these people?
Scary.
Why do we elect these people?
He has good hair.
I don't care what his hair looks like. We should have guessed based on his ex-wife who this guy was. And like, anyway, I'm not a California voter, so that's up to them to sort out. But no, I think the thing with the nukes is indicative of the growing insecurity that will result in a whole race of new arms races that we're also disadvantaging ourselves in as an economic power, because who the fuck wants to buy our shit after we fucked Ukraine over with it and have basically used it to try to strong on the Europeans? Nobody's going to buy any of our stuff anymore. And it's expensive. Like, the only reason anybody bought any of our stuff was because they were trying to buy American goodwill. And at this point, who needs that? So, it's going to be a real weird time. And I think the other aspect in Europe that is hard to see from afar, and we want to cheer the European unity situation, is there's also a lot of gamesmanship in European powers. I mean, I don't know what Macron's doing on any given day. Sometimes he's great, sometimes he's weird, sometimes it's fine, sometimes it's weird. And then the Germans...
I like when he babysits Donald. That's kind of...
That is just a job anybody needs. And the Germans, like, even Schultz, like, talked a good game, but then did nothing. So hopefully Mers will do more than the talking. And then the Brits are still like, we're not really back in, but we should be. Maybe we'll be in, but actually we're over here. We're still trying to act as the bridge between America and Europe, but that's not going to work out really well, and they're still trying. But the Poles want to be the new anchor for America and Europe because they want to keep the giant American troop contingent that they have there in Poland and not have to leave.
I was going to say, what's going to happen to the bases, the U.S. bases in throughout Europe? I feel like the next thing we're going to hear from Donald, if he, he's like, we're taking that's a money, and we're just there protecting you. He has a perfect spin. He can spin out for his as red meat for his knuckle draggers, but the rest of us, like, it's
just stupid.
Oh my God.
I think it's pretty much a guarantee. There are very quietly U.S. troops deployed a little bit in like the Baltic states, like not like huge groups, but like some guys doing useful things. I think it's pretty much a guarantee that any of the more forward deployed guys will be at least pulled back to Poland or Germany, or that we will leave one of those two virtually entirely. But it's all I just want to point out to everyone that it's all such a dumb premise. Do I also believe that we need to have the ability to fight some imagined war in the Asia Pacific? Sure. But like, you know what you don't fight a war in Asia with? Land troops from Europe. Like, we don't need fucking tanks for this imagined war for Taiwan. We need ships, and we need planes, and we need missiles that shoot a really long way. So the idea that we need to like pull our European troops out so we can go fight some theoretical war in Asia is just stupidity. And every time someone says it, you should be like, no, there's a reason the Marines exist, and it's because Europe is different than Asia. And I mean, it's all, but everybody will just keep saying this nonsense, and people will just keep repeating it, and like, why should we be involved in any of these wars? And it's like, okay, whatever. Let's go to war with Canada. That's a much better use of our guys. Let's take a bunch of guys who were trained in Afghanistan and put them on the border with Mexico and hope that turns out just fine.
What can go wrong?
What can go
wrong? Great. What a smart way to use American troops.
Okay. My brain, Molly. I want to talk
expensive. It's expensive. They're spending more money than the Biden administration, and nobody cares. It's like, yay, they're saving us money, and it's like, okay.
No. But Doge saved like $8 octillion. I heard that. I read that Doge saves all that money.
Yeah.
Totally.
They're very efficient. I heard they were efficient.
100%.
Yeah.
The best.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Steph, what were you going to say?
I want to pivot to which is kind of the same thing. It's a little bit scopier. You wrote a great Substack recently. We were talking about it before about the pickled eggs and what it's like to be, because you've been doing this a long time now, Molly. And so you've got sort of folks that you know, right? All at working in the DC machine one way or another, with expertise in whatever it might be. And you guys are gathered kind of regularly at a bar in DC, and you just sort of, I felt like it was, by the way, wonderful writing. You're a great writer. But it felt like you were there having an out-of-body experience of like this sort of, oh my God, everyone's just sort of going along with the insanity of where we're at. And you connected it to these pickled eggs that you all ended up having to beat. But at the end of or play games with, at the end of it, there was sort of this is the moment now to kind of shake ourselves out of this trance. I sort of always listening, ready to go, same, everyone's sort of stepping forward one after the other, like they're in the same world. And the whole board game has changed and everyone's just still. So I just wanted you to talk a little bit about that, like what that's like for you do you think you're the only one that's like, wait a minute, we got to wake up from this. What's happening? And if folks do start to wake up, who are they around you? Who can we look to first, sort of kind of, and maybe they already are kind of getting it together from within the DC machine and the international, I dare I say diplomatic community, or folks that work as consultants or work in whatever vein they're working in to try to uphold the U.S. as they knew it to be in some way, shape, or form. Don't we need these folks like you to shake the cobwebs, shake themselves out of the trance?
Well, I think the thing for me that becomes this critical differentiation is like, it really has been unadulterated information assault on Americans since 2015, especially after the 2016 election, because Trump won and we had to decide that Russia never did anything and like it never mattered and information warfare does nothing and disinformation is a hoax and like all the shit that normal people now repeat, like, well, yeah, the Russians did stuff, but it didn't do anything. Okay, sure. Like 12 billion tweets did absolutely nothing to the American psyche, sure. And like just the fact that we're now saying out loud Russian narratives as if they make sense, like that has no, like, of course, no impact on anything. But I think it's not just, 10 years ago, we could say this Russian piece of influence online was really significant in this limited way. But I think the tactics were so successful. Social media companies love it so much. They make so much fucking money off of it. They do not care what happens to people. They also want to control our minds. That, like, everybody does this now. And the deep information soup that Americans live inside, I'm not actually sure how many people actually understand what reality is, either from siloing or atomization or from just the poor quality of our news environment overall, and the casual consumption. Like, basically everybody consumes quote-unquote news by just brushing past it now. Like, nobody reads anything. It's like it washes in front of your face, and that's what you understand. And I think this environment that Americans are now in has convinced us of things that absolutely are not true. And one of them is that these people running the country currently represent a majority. They represent 15 to 20% of the country tops. And any polling will show you that. Americans still support immigration, yes, with limits, and yes, with rules that people should be able to follow in a sensible way in a system that works to allow people to legally immigrate to the country. But, like, Americans support immigration. Most of us have relatively recent immigrant ancestors, Americans support Ukraine by a significant majority. Americans understand Russia is still not our fucking ally. Russia is bad. Like, this is really simple, like, black, white, Russia bad, Ukraine good stuff that Americans understand. Like, any basic polling will show you how far out of alignment what the government currently is doing. And yet, everybody is fucking silent about it. And by everybody, I mean this machinery of DC. And I am not a Trumpian, burn it to the fucking ground person. I really do not believe that destroying the government is a useful thing for America or its people. But I think for everybody who understands the challenging situation that we are currently in and the way that this machinery is being absolutely fucking subverted from the inside, you cannot rely on the DC machine to fix this problem, because everybody here is so used to fixing what is always a clunky, vaguely nonsensical, barely functional machine, right? Like, it's never great. It is never perfect. Yes, it is always wasting money. But there are things that it does that we absolutely need as a country and as a country operating in the world. But I think what we have seen in the last 2-3 months is the rules being followed or not followed by the new people. And the system still trying to be preserved by the people who have been inside it for way too long. Like, those cards don't shuffle.
Oh, well, that was a good end note. I think we lost Molly.
It might unfreeze, but I want to get back to. I'll get back to something she's saying, because we were talking about this.
Molly, sign off, sign back on again. Let's see if it works. You're totally frozen. I don't know if she can hear us.
I don't know. I should take her off while she's frozen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well done, Molly. Well done. I hope that's not the end.
No,
but
should be
might
back.
be. Okay.
When she's moving again, I'll put her back on.
Yeah.
We were talking in the production meeting about something she was saying, which is this denial of reality, right? And I feel like it's always been with Trump. The emperor has no clothes. It's always been that way with Trump. The emperor has no clothes, and the powers that be, and I think this is why people are so mad in general. Legacy media, the Democrats, certainly the Republicans in Congress, refuse to acknowledge what is blatantly fucking objectively true. And here's a tweet today or yesterday or whatever from the Democrats. Okay. I don't know who's in charge of this account now. Maybe Anonymous hacked it, but here it is. Okay. Ugly ass truck.
Yeah.
About the Cybertruck. Now, that is objectively true.
Yeah.
It is fucking ugly. It is an ugly ass truck.
Yeah.
And no one will say it. No one buys that truck because it looks cool. It looks like a fucking garbage can. It looks like Oscar the Grouch is going to pop up off the top of it. It is ugly. Trump is, the whole thing is corrupt. Trump is a Russian asset. And these people are fucking trying to kill us all. And nobody will say it. Nobody will say it. That's what
they're starting, somebody who's running that account is starting.
I know.
Starting to call out what's right in front of our faces. I mean, this kind of bleeds into our next segment. Oh, here she is.
I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with my connection.
We every always time you're on our show, and
we always blame
come
the
back
Russians,
from Ukraine.
Yeah.
This happens. Molly, let's move into, do you mind? Do you want to stick with us and move into our next segment, which I think is like, you gave us a perfect segue into it, which is what we're calling the chill. Are you up for that?
Sure. Why
Can
not?
we get you?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So I'm going to put 8 minutes on the clock, but if we go over, we go over. We're just sort of talking about, bouncing off of what you were saying, and we wanted to talk about how there is this chill happening of people not saying what they need to be saying. And I think part of that is just, I'm going to just keep going through the motions of what I know how to do. And, for folks that are inside the Beltway. And then you have, the press being frozen out of, anybody that would question Donald or ask, confront about whatever he doesn't want to talk about, but we need to hear about. they're kicked out of the briefing rooms. So AP is gone, all these other folks being kicked out. You just have the president, who is a convicted felon, standing up today in front of the seal of the Department of Justice and naming out names of people he has grievance for actually bringing those successful convictions or just lawsuits that are stopping his wanton destruction of the U.S. government presently. Naming names of lawyers, naming names of former officials at the Department of Justice. All of this, by the way, because I don't even know how much of this would be happening. I'm sorry, I'm going to harken back to it. If there hadn't been a prior attorney general under Biden that was slow walked everything, because I don't want to seem like I'm political. It might turn the Department of Justice into, it might weaponize. I don't want anybody to think that we're weaponizing the Department of Justice. Well,
you don't understand. You don't understand. He was doing everything he could. It was so great. You don't even get it.
Oh God, I didn't understand the nuances of how stuff was filed, and I didn't. Yeah, I'm not interested in that. That's another chill. I don't want, people showing up and shutting down anyone's voice that's like rising up saying we can't stand for this. We need to do things differently now. That's all getting shut down. I can feel, and we'll talk about the thaw in a second, but it does. You can start to sort of imagine. And it's just an imagination because we're not there yet, what it's like to have that authoritarian choking your voice out. What else was happening today? Some other kind of free speech thing was.
Well, there's a lot of things. So I'm going to rattle off some more things,
okay,
and then Molly, give us your thoughts on them. Okay. So first of all, people are being illegally detained.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
The student at Columbia. We have people from Great Britain just hanging out, detained by the board of the immigration and just somewhere. A woman from British Columbia, detained, illegally detained. The DOJ is trying to charge this student at Columbia they're trying to equate speech and protest with terrorism and use terrorism laws to go after people who are protesting. That's chilling. Columbia itself is being attacked by, dipshit forces in the Department of quote unquote education run by the wrestling lady.
The wrestling lady.
So it's with the clear intent of destroying one of the Ivy League schools and scaring all the other ones. Right. And the chill of the press. Like you said, Trump at DOJ, saying bad things, and who he put at DOJ, somebody that he paid $25,000 to make a case go away.
Yeah, all his lawyers.
Taj Patel of all from Las Vegas. He's like, I don't know if he's playing blackjack, running the FBI. What's going on? And the Bongino guy running the FBI. It's insane.
And Pam Bondi stroking him.
Yeah,
stroking and petting him.
And the fucking
walks
press
out
secretary.
like Ivanka. It's like, what the fuck is
and
it?
the press secretary gaslighting like a.
Yeah,
Molly, what do you think of all this?
She's horrible.
I mean, I think the sort of middle points you guys mentioned there, which is in particular about education, is one that's getting lost. Like the attack on universities, we know is not an accident. This has been a Republican theme for quite some time. The idea that institutions of higher education are too liberal and thus bad and thus should be banned and blah, blah, blah. But if you read whatever was in the lovely Project 2025, what the Heritage Foundation is currently putting out now, the letter from the wrestling lady in the final mission of the DOE, email. Yeah. But what they're saying, and it's not just them, it's also like JD Vance, it's some of these tech bros, it's a very consistent theme that Americans have not let soak into their brains, because they still think when they hear this, it means they too will be the guy who invents the next $600 billion company. So but what they're saying is very clear. It is that there should no longer be post-secondary education as a goal in this country, that most people should drop out either during or after high school to become quote unquote workers and have white babies at a very young age, and that should be their goal as citizens of this country. And the idea that this is like how do you put we don't believe in post-secondary, so nothing after high school, we don't believe this is important for Americans anymore, like next to we need to fight a fucking war with China in this century. Like, this is not gonna work. I mean, it's bad enough that like basic math and science is like a questionable curriculum in many states where we're believing that like parents should be in charge of their own children's education. All right, good luck to parents trying to teach their children calculus. Let me know how that turns out. But like, it's just, this is nonsensical. What we have done to our country on the radicalization of this shit is so fucking crazy. And that they're literally out there now writing on the piece of paper, kids should not go to college. They should drop out of school, get married really young, and have babies and be workers. Workers in what factories? Like, the robots are going to make all the shit soon. What the fuck are you even talking about? Like, how is this a vision for the future of the country? And the fact that people are buying into this, like somehow there's a billionaire strategy for like the workers to live well in this future version of America, good luck. Like, this is just nonsense. And no one is talking about it. It's just like the posts are up, like it's right there on the paper, and no one is commenting on the fact that this is fucking crazy. Like, it's fucking craziness. Like, why aren't we calling it fucking craziness?
Okay,
like,
there we go.
It's fucking crazy.
It's crazy. We're
ugly ass truck.
Mm-hmm.
Ugly ass truck.
These
That's
are very ugly trucks. I know.
Yes.
But you're supposed to look at it. Oh, yes, this is the car of the
it's
future.
Like it's from such
this
a
is
genius.
exactly how I pictured the future. And like, again, I don't care. I don't care about any of this nonsense where we're gonna pretend like Musk's fortune hasn't come from federal dollars somehow. Like,
That's
okay,
right.
let's play the play. But the vision they are presenting to Americans is that they as individuals do not fucking matter in this equation of power, which is absolutely anti-democratic. Stop eating it like it makes sense. And like, I'm just really frustrated about the whole situation.
Okay. You need to walk around and just go, oh God.
I do. I go outside and look at the moon. The lady was not wrong about this.
The lady was not wrong about the moon.
Nature does make us feel better. It is absolutely true.
It does. Which
now
is why we have to protect our parks.
This is the part of the show where we do announcements. And I had Claudia Black on my podcast today, who is a trauma coach. Okay. So it's like 2 hours of her talking about things to do to not lose your fucking mind. So one of the things you should do when you're mad is to just push down on something and just vocalize what it is that makes you mad. Like, I want a Cybertruck. And it does work. It makes you feel better.
The thing where we teach the 4-year-olds to punch the pillow and not their sister. Same idea.
Yes. Same idea. Yeah.
Punch the pillow.
Yeah.
The physicality of it, it's it's good. Push down or push across, push a wall, and vocalize what it is that you're thinking that we're not allowed to say the day before the Ides of March. It's okay to say that in your rage,
in your room in private.
In your room in private. You can say
that's not a chill. I guess we can.
You can say, I don't like Severance this season. You can say these things.
I don't.
I can't get into that show. I don't know why people are so into it. Maybe it's great if I can get past the first episode, but I can't. I can't do it.
The first season is really great.
I'm sure
second
it is.
Season.
But it's just, I've never.
It's not for everybody.
But here, the thing we can actually bring into the announcements, and this is a strange announcement, but I think it matters. I have finally watched Andor.
Ooh.
That's the thing to watch, Molly.
But it's on Disney Plus, right? I'm not paying for that.
It's on Disney Plus.
No, it's not. I'm not anti Disney Plus. Just
no, I know.
Like,
it is. It's on a payment.
I refuse to be fucking $12.95 a month to death. And this is the
think
world we live in now. So
sign
there's
up.
the 3 things I pay for, and I do not pay for that one.
I understand, but if they say here you can have it free for a week,
agreed.
Take the week, watch Andor, and then cancel it. But at least you've seen it. It's so wonderfully, because it's Tony Gilroy, and he's writing about what actually is the spark that it takes, and it's not how you expect it to go, to start a resistance and the vision and the contrasting visions and points of view of whether it's a long game or you have to making a choice between playing a long game and making a sacrifice and doing what you know is right in the moment. And how that tension between those two points of view when it comes to actually trying to throw off an oppressive regime creates the momentum of the whole series. And of course, it's just these rogue folks. It's so great.
Yes. Also worth bringing out the ubiquitous Gene Sharp, which is like the handbook of nonviolent resistance.
Yes.
But it's a good way of thinking about. For me, I have my students read it as like, because we're studying about Russian power, and like Russians are so good, like the Russian state has always been so good at creating systems of control. So like understanding how to how to subvert that is very important. But reading it from the perspective of how is it that people who are looking for more authoritarian systems of control try to apply that control to you, and how should you be thinking about it? These are just things that Americans don't understand, and not because we're dumb. But we have been enormously fortunate to live in a country where people are not threatening to take away our fundamental democratic rights for these 250 years. Like, yes, there have been weird things. And yes, there are citizens in this country who were not fully citizenified in various periods in our history and have fought for their rights the same way that we are sometimes very easy. We sometimes forget exactly how much people had to fight for their full rights in this country. But I think for all of us, remembering what those rights are and that we deserve them, but should not take them for granted, is just a thing that Americans haven't had to do in history a lot. And we really haven't had people actually trying to take them away from us in a serious, systematic way before. And
but now
the particular tech burroization of this attempt, where it's like, oh, we don't need people, just have the computers do the things, it'll be fine. Like, no, like absolutely not. And
I want to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in the next thing. Yeah.
It's going to be weird, but everybody needs to
hold that book
start
up
thinking
again
differently about what is happening in the country.
Molly, hold that book up again.
This is the newer printing, but there's many. You can get you can find them free online. You can get like a Kindle version for $5, but it's From Dictatorship to Democracy. It's the Gene Sharp book. It was written in the 80s. I think it was originally written for like a handbook for resistance in Myanmar, but it's become like every special forces guy has this book memorized. It is the book you teach if you are trying to teach countries how to organize for potential occupation. I'm not saying we are occupied, but in terms of understanding how people who want to fuck with you try to use power against you, it's less than 100 pages. Like, you can read it in a day. But everybody should have a dog-eared copy of this book lying around somewhere.
We're getting it. It helps. We all need to get into the right mindset. And so that's the book to just prepare your mindset. Okay.
It's a good one. I mean, everybody's read the Snyder one, and that's, his is much more conceptual, but in a good way. But this one is very like, but if you need to free your country, what do you need to think about? Which is just something we as Americans don't think about because we've never had to worry about it before. It's
true. It's what makes me wake up every day and be like, oh God, what the fuck? What timeline is this? As you said last time you were on, Molly, the WTF of it all.
We're in the Contagion timeline. It's not the good one.
It's not the good one. So somebody said in the comments that the second season of Andor comes out in April, which will tell us what to do. So that's good.
Thank God.
Fingers crossed.
It really is the best, other than Casablanca. It's the best, like the most relevant to right now thing that I've seen.
All right. I'll buy it.
It's not. Don't get me put off by the Star Wars. Yeah. Anyway,
no, I'm not put off by Star Wars. I like Star Wars. I refuse to pay another $12.95 a month.
No, we all understand that.
We understand.
I understand. I support your stance. I just want you to watch this show.
Okay, Molly McKew. Thank you. What the name of your Substack is? Great Power. It's greatpower.us. Is that what it is?
Greatpower.us.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Everyone should go subscribe. And thank you so much for joining us. Always great to see you.
Thank you, Molly.
Good to see you guys.
We love you. We're so glad you're safe home. She's the best.
I just feel smarter now.
We're smarter. We actually got some information there. That's the kind of conversation that's being chilled out. So we try to, as we've got this great chill happening everywhere, we're going to keep trying to bring you folks like that are out in the world, overseas or wherever they are, doing it, experience it, and come back and tell us, this is what is happening, America. You need to understand. So I'm so grateful to her. So grateful to Molly.
Yeah. Do you have any more announcements?
I know we're going to have an announcement. I hope next week. So hope next week we have a big announcement for everybody. In the meantime, I guess I have an announcement that feeds into, so you go first, that feeds into that last section.
Do I have an announcement? My
Do
announcement.
you have anything?
No, just the Claudia Black episode is really good. Like if you're feeling like really enraged, just go listen to it. Like, and I'm not saying it because it's my thing. It's mostly her talking. So she's fantastic and everybody should go, listen to it. Like I even said
it's my trauma therapist.
Right. She's wonderful, as you know.
That's thanks to you. You introduced me to her.
As you know, she's wonderful. And then at the very end, at like an hour and so into it, we do talk about Spartacus series that's coming out that she's in, which I can't wait. I
can't wait.
I can't wait to it.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to listen to that today, but I saw it and I was like, is this new? Is this an old one? And then I was so excited that it was new.
It's brand new.
So I can't wait to hear it.
It's brand new. She was doing all this wonderful, she's an actor. So she acts out.
Gorgeous actress. Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a it's audio podcast. I'm like laughing. I'm like, it's wonderful that no one's going to see this. And I feel bad. She was like, no one's going to see it. I'm like, yeah, but there is a video of it. So I think we're going to have to cut it down and put out.
I think you're going to have to put the video out. Always put video out of Claudia if you have video of Claudia.
Yeah, we've got video. The problem is I look I'm like this.
No one's going to be looking at you anyway.
No, but I look ridiculous in this thing. So it distractingly dumb. Like I'm like shaking, like I'm having a seizure. It's really not great. But yes, people will be looking at her. But yes. Anyway, so do you have things? You have no things.
Well, I just want to let everybody know I did after we had and we were trying to figure this out because we're in back in Donald time, right? Which is like. Was that last week? Was it 3 years ago? I don't know. So when were you up with me? We did the thing. That was 2 Sundays ago.
It was 2 Sundays ago.
That's all. It feels like last year. And then so much has happened. So then the Sunday after that. So since we were trying to figure out whether I talked about this yet or not, but I haven't because it was this past Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I got asked by another group up here. There's so much grassroots stuff happening up here, which is part of our last segment. But I just want to let everybody know at this incredible group, and maybe you have the pictures. I sent you an email with the image. Do you have it?
Wait, you sent me an email?
I sent you an email.
I didn't get the email. Yes, I did. There it is.
Yay! Okay, there it is. So I was asked to come and speak at this Peace for Ukraine rally up in the North Country. So this was a totally separate group than the Adirondack Voters for Change, but everybody's merging, right? And so you can see that's like over 200 people. It was ice cold. I'm telling you, it was like 8 degrees out. That is in a big field. Right on the Osebo River, goes right by it. It's the coldest. It's so cold. It's the coldest part.
How cold is it?
It's so cold. So I wore my ski pants because I knew I was going to be lying down in the snow and like all this stuff. And people had their flags, which was amazing. And that was overhead. And as soon as we formed this peace sign, a bald eagle soared right over us because they fish. We have a lot of eagles up here, but it was just something to see this thing while we're all like lying on the ground. So and this was not long prepared for. This was basically after the Zelensky thing. It was like, oh my God, we got to do stuff for Ukraine. Like, this is bad. Let's show up for Ukraine. And we have a big Ukrainian population up here. So I just want to shout out to everybody that was there and helping. And you can look up sort of Keene Valley, North Country. You'll see this peace sign. It got a lot of coverage and who all the different groups were and the different people that spoke. And there were amazing people that spoke. So I'm just grateful about all that. It doesn't really have a name to it yet, a group, but it's just several different folks from different grassroots organizations up here in the North Country coming together to do this. So
wait, where are you in the peace sign?
Okay. I sent you that picture too. Did you get it?
No.
Oh, I sent you one with an arrow. Okay. So if you go up.
What o'clock are you?
I'm at like, if the little hand is like 11, you see sort of a body lying sideways with space above and below, but I'm really kind of in line. See, there's a person standing outside. There's a person.
I should have known.
At 11 o'clock, there's a person standing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go 2 people down from there. And that's me.
Okay.
I sent you a picture with an arrow. Yeah. So
there
that was me. Anyway, that's that. I just appreciate everything that's happening. But this gets into our last topic.
It does. Which is the thaw. We had the chill. Now we have the thaw.
Listen, this, like, people are, I don't know if anybody else is experiencing this, but I gotta imagine it's not just up here. So again, rural area. Yes, there's pockets like right in the town we live in and some of the neighboring towns, a lot of very liberal-minded people, but we're surrounded. We're just in a Republican land. I wouldn't call it MAGA land up here. It's not that. These are sort of old school Republicans and a lot of farmers and rural people. And let me tell you something. Here's my little anecdote. So for the Adirondack Voter for Change event that you came up for and we had a cake, right? We had, because it was the 20th anniversary.
There was a cake.
So
it was very good, by the way.
My mom, volunteers. She does great work. So she's the one who ordered the cake. And I was with her because we just happened to be together that day. And we were at the local grocery store up here. And now it's a chain grocery store. And there's there are a lot of people here. So, and a lot of tourists coming in for these stores see a lot of traffic and people. But we had, my mom came in, there was a thing to grate the cake. We come to pick up the cake and the guy that's the head of the bakery is like, what is this? And so she talks to him a little bit about what it is. And it's very hard to tell what people's politics up here, because as I've said to you, there's 2 kinds of ways to survive where we live. It's very harsh here and you're very isolated. It's very rural. You've got to drive 2 hours for healthcare sometimes. We've got a little hospital here, but they don't do everything, that kind of thing. That's where we're at. And we're in a park. So it's glorious. There's bald eagles. We have a bald eagle on our property. Once you live here, you really don't want to live anywhere else. It's so spectacular and incredible. And it's tough. You're on your own. So 2 kinds of ways to survive. You either have FU money, where you can bring all your own people in. You've got planes. You can spend money like crazy. And
we went to see a
Harley Pro. Yeah. You have a whole staff. You need anything. There's people who are going to make sure it gets done, and you don't have to figure it out. And I'm talking about you've got your own electricians, you've got your own plumbers, you have people that live, you've got your own chef that does the people that live on your camp and live and do everything for you. And then there's the rest of us. And the way that we survive is with each other. You have to have your neighbors up here. You have to. You have to have a generator. You have to have a snowplow. You have to have something breaks down. You can't just call someone and it gets fixed. Your neighbors show up and the community shows up. So the way people figured out how to survive, because we all need one another, is nobody talks politics. It's just, boop, shut it. They don't talk religion. They don't talk politics. You don't know. You're careful because you need your neighbors. You need them they're your customers if you have a service to provide, and you need them. You cannot isolate yourself up here from other people just because of a point of view. So people are naturally, not just because we're in the Arctic cold, there's a chill, right? Yeah. For survival purposes. Let me tell you, up here, it's like, what the fuck is happening? So this baker comes out and he sees me. I'm there.
Baker, not banker.
Baker, Baker, runs the bakery. I'm there because I'm picking up bread for something else. He recognized me. I'm not dressed the same. I'm not. And he comes out from behind. He goes, how did it go? How was the event? And I was like, oh, yeah. I said, well, the cake, everyone loved the cake. I'm talking about the cake. Because again, I got to survive up here, and I think he's asking me about the cake. He goes, no, forget the cake. He said, did anybody show up? I said, oh, yeah, we're standing room only. We had a lot of people there. He's like, did you see Rachel Maddow? Now he's talking to me about Rachel Maddow. And he's talking about, I'm like, okay. So he's like, I'll come to the next one. I'm telling you, this would not have happened. I do think there's a thaw.
Yeah.
Because now our survival actually requires us to talk about this and stand up to it and figure out where we got to plug in so we can bring a stop to it. He does away with Medicaid, we lose our hospital, our local hospital. It's gone. Half the revenues are from Medicaid.
The tariffs are fucking you.
This guy is telling me that, and I already knew it, right? And he cannot believe what's going on with the tariffs. And no one around here, we are, it's like, oh no, you're going to destroy our way of life. We need those tourists. We need those materials. We need it. And no, you can't come into our state park and start cutting down trees, right? So we can see that constitutional crisis coming to a head where we're going to have our governor stand up because they're going to want to come in. There's so many beautiful resources up here, and we don't want these people around.
Don't worry, our senators will protect us.
No one here has a Tesla. There's not, maybe there's like one or two, but they're all the tourists that come in with it. We don't, because you know what? Those cars don't work in the cold weather.
No,
I'm sorry.
They
don't.
They don't.
The heater, you don't have, and you have to drive distances up here. We put 15,000 miles on our car, you know, in a year, fast. And I know other people do that too, but it's like everything's a commute. Everything is a commute. You know, there's 130 acres right next door to us. That's just the neighbor. It takes me 15 minutes to walk to the other. No. So there's a thaw happening. And this group that organized this, this peace sign, they're immediately all on emails with one another, trying to find other email lists, getting a newsletter together. So it's happening. I don't think we're alone up here. I think it's happening. I think that Democrat Twitter account that you put up that says all of a sudden is like ugly ass truck. I think it's like the more they try to silence us, get louder. So we're going to get that book that Molly put up, but I know a bit about it, is when you're being told something so that you can be controlled, you do the opposite. You do exactly what they're telling you not to do. You do it, and you do it louder and stronger and bigger. You don't accept it. So I do feel like a thaw is happening. I do.
I agree.
And the winter's thawing. You know, as you pointed out.
The winter is thawing. We're into this. I keep thinking of Gattaca. Like, you saw Gattaca, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to spoil Gattaca for everybody. So if you don't want Gattaca to be spoiled.
20-year-old movie. Go for it.
If you're watching this and you don't want to spoil Gattaca at the end, please skip ahead. Okay, so Gattaca is like, Ethan Hawke is like trying to be pass as this other guy the whole time, the whole movie. Who's Jude Law, who's like this perfect guy, except something happened, whatever. Anyway. And he does all these things to be able to pass. And he has to have a blood test and a urine sample and all this shit to be able to get into.
He has to grow his legs. He has to grow 2 inches. Right? Horrible.
And there's all this technical shit that he gets right. And then at the end of it, the guy says, left-handed people don't use their right hand to hold it when they pee. And that's how he gets busted. It's like the simplest fucking thing, right? It's like, it's ugly ass truck, Yeah. It's not something complicated that's going to end the thing. It's going to be something simple and dumb that's going to end these guys. It's going to be like JD Vance and his idiot wife, or whatever she is, his business partner, going to the Kennedy Center and getting booed lustily.
While they're smirking at one another because, those silly people are so uninformed.
They're so uninformed. Guess what, JD Vance? You're going to be booed everywhere you go for the rest of your fucking life. That's it.
Yes.
You're going to be 90 years old in the nursing home, and the fucking nurses are going to boo you.
They're going to boo you as long as we keep that up.
Keep it up.
Don't let it, keep the thaw up. The other big thaw we all got to see, and they played a lot of tape, is you're in Asheville, North Carolina.
I got that on
We
my
have a
list.
friend from that area, and she's telling us, she's like, that's mountain rural. These aren't the coastal people in North Carolina. These are folks that generationally go back there. This is heritage land of the oldest mountains, some of the oldest mountains in the world, if not the oldest mountains in the world. So, and they're at the town hall, right? Standing up to the congressman and demanding, and one of them's getting, and they're all our age. I mean, I'm going to get my hair dyed tomorrow, but, gray haired, don't let this fool you. I'm a 55-year-old woman, and everybody was my age or older at that town hall. From what I could
speeding.
See.
It's like 55 and up speeding.
55 and up. Yeah. So it's a speed limit. Yeah. Pedal to the metal, baby. And, our generation is not going to take this. I'm sorry. The young people may think we're just old fogies. No, we don't. We're oh my God, we went through cassette tapes and then CDs, and then I
had an 8-track player in my
You had an 8-track. I had an 8-track in the car. No. So
that shit skipped in the middle of a song.
Don't tell us. Like, so here these folks are. And one of the things that really struck me about that town hall meeting was the congressperson, I don't even know who he was, that they're clearly going to vote out.
Chuck Edwards.
Chuck Edwards.
His name is Chuck Edwards.
And I'm glad he showed up. He at least showed up
yep.
to confront his constituents and let them confront him. And he said to them, if you don't like this, you can vote me out. And they're like, yeah, right. And he's like, okay, it just seems like I'm here trying to talk and you guys are really upset. And they're like, yeah. But one of the things he said that to me, it just clicked my brain a little bit is, here's this guy. And he says to the folks there, he said, Elon Musk, you might not like him, but he's bringing in smart people. And boy, did they boo that. So the thing underneath that is, first of all, that guy's dumb if he thinks those people are smart. They're not. This is somebody, and I've long said this about the folks I see go to DC. These are folks that they couldn't keep up in any other sector or business, a lot of them. So some of them, and especially our older folks in there, like Chuck Schumer, I'm sure thinks that a fax machine is still a mysterious piece of technology.
I put the paper in.
And
it goes out over there.
It's amazing. This is like, oh my God, these people Elon brings in, you know what he's bringing in? He's bringing in 20-year-olds with that can barely code. Elon himself is not an engineer. He doesn't code. He's been caught in the fraudulent lies he's told about himself. The myth that he's built.
Physics.
He can't do any of it. He can't do any of
physics,
it.
You dumb
These are kids that are just trolls, that maybe know how to learn some stuff on Reddit. These aren't geniuses. They're just weirdos. And so, but this guy thinks they are, but also to say that to your constituents is like, but these are smart people, like your constituents are not, that they should just sit back, lie back, and take it. We're going to take your Medicaid. We're going to take your Social Security. We're going to destroy the government. We're going to fire government workers. Fuck you. Fuck your farmers. We're going to take all of that. But it's being done by these smart people, and you're just not smart enough to get that. You couldn't do what these doji people are doing. They're smart. Who are you? You're hicks. That's what I heard. I heard a patronization underneath that. And that's what those folks heard, and rightfully so. And they stood up and booed that shit. Thank God. Because you know what? All those people there and me, we're old enough to have teenagers or older, 8-year-old grandkids that can do more tech than the doji guys. Like, we're not, who do they think they're talking to? Who do these Republicans think they're talking to?
Well, they think they're talking to their own MAGA people who are, maybe not, the sharpest knives in the drawer, the brightest.
The QAnon freaks.
Tree, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, guess what? That's not Asheville, North Carolina, apparently.
No. How the hell does Asheville have a Republican House person anyway?
It's rural.
My guess is gerrymandering.
Could be.
Yeah. I don't like Jerry. He's a dick.
He mandered.
He mandered. Yeah.
Yeah.
He mandered.
He mandered.
I do feel heartened by the amount of people I've seen. Just, I don't know. I just feel like a bubbling in the thing. I really do. And I think one of the points that Molly made that's super important, right, is that this is not a lot of people, you know? They're not a lot of people. They're like 10 to 15% of people think that these guys are cool. Elon Musk is like, for like maybe 12% of humanity. And those 12% of humanity, I would not want to like sit next to ever anywhere. I wouldn't want to go to a dinner party with. I wouldn't want to encounter at a bar. I wouldn't want to hook up with. I wouldn't want to like vote for. I wouldn't want to do anything with. And that's fine. You know, that's who they are. So I guess, you know, what I'm really saying is
we're going to get through this.